What's up, everyone? It's Scotty with Money Investing. The Dow Jones unfortunately snapping its 13-day win streak, and we weren't able to set that record that I was really hoping for. But nonetheless, the markets here are selling off. A lot of technology names here pulling back, with Meta up a little bit over 4.4%, but giving back on majority of those gains. And Enphase Energy did drop a little bit over 13%, something that we were expecting, considering that their earnings expectations were so high, and they obviously came in a little bit shy of those consensus estimates. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and find it helpful. If you do, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're just joining us for the first time, the link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining, and of course getting access to all the buy and sell alerts. We do have a 16% annual discount available till the end of this month. And the options course is also available, brand new options course that will give you access to everything you need to learn and know about selling options and generating cash flow. And the coupon code is going to be launched with a 50% discount as well. And the bundle, the fundamental, technical, and options course, all three of them are also available at a 50% discount as well. So that is something that obviously you can take advantage of. And we also do have a new Discord channel, lower tier Discord channel, that gives you access to the private Discord chat, market updates and analysis, and a lot of members only videos and private content as well. So that's available if you want to take advantage of that. So the Dow, S&P, and the Nasdaq, all of them down here almost the same amount, anywhere between 0.5% to as much as 67 basis points. We did have a lot of stocks declining, so over 4,300 stocks were going down, with only 1,600 pushing higher on the day. So Dow loses more than 200 points Thursday to snap the historic 13-day rally. And we did have S&P 500 also lower 64 basis points. And at one point during the day, the broader index topped the key 4,600 level for the first time since March 2022, literally when the Federal Reserve started raising rates. But then we obviously quickly reversed back lower to close out the day. So BTIG's Krinsky says, and I quote, "The S&P has been on a stellar rally of late that has taken it out to 4,600 for the first time in more than a year. However, the broader market index is now showing signs of exhaustion. And as has been the case for the last couple of weeks, there are signals that the rally is getting tired. And SPX cleared 4,600 off the open, which brought it into the highs of March 2022. And a flat or red close today would be notable after the gap up and the 4,600 retest as well." So markets were actually higher a lot, right? The Nasdaq at one point was at 1.5%. We had the S&P that was up a little bit over 1%. And all of that was given back and more. So markets ending red today is actually a pretty big deal, because like I said, during pre-market live streams and market open live streams, we were talking about how we had a very strong momentum, right, on the back of Tesla, on the back of Meta platforms, Google, even Amazon was very green, and then it all reversed back down, right? So we all saw markets pull back, and intraday we saw a lot of selling pressure, close to, I would say, 1 to 2%. So if you come over to this right here, this is the Nasdaq. From its peak of 14,300, we basically saw a 2% sell-off. That's not a small amount. That's not a small amount. This right here is going to be S&P 500. From its peak of 4,600, you'll notice that we did drop a little bit over 1.67%. And the Dow Jones was also in a very similar situation, where we basically saw the Dow drop a little bit over 373 points, or down over 1% from its highs. And not to mention the 10-year yield just popped over 4%. And that was a rally of a little bit over 4%. And of course, pushing higher past the 4% level as well. So very, very strong momentum coming in for the bond yields. And of course, the market itself, the equity markets, selling off pretty aggressively on an intraday basis. The Fed is getting close to its end game. And after Wednesday's meeting, one bond trader thinks that the end of the central bank's tightening campaign is drawing closer. And we're getting closer to the end game as we head through the summer. Those high inflation prints from last year will start to roll off. And I think there's a stronger possibility that this turns out to be the last rate hike, but we're going to have to wait and see. I don't think you can fully rule out one more rate hike after this one, because the Federal Reserve has been so vague and they haven't really given us any guidance as to what they're planning to do, except telling us that they're going to be meeting by meeting and they're going to look at the totality of the incoming data that's coming up. So of the 44% companies that have already reported earnings in the S&P 500, so 219 companies. The earnings are expected to fall by 6.8% on a year-over-year basis. And on that earnings front, 78% companies have topped expectations, while 62% have beaten revenue estimates as well. And this right here was the state of the market. Again, Microsoft dropping over 2%, as I've already pointed out in my previous videos. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft does trade as low as 320, 325. Those are going to be some levels to watch. Apple here down. Tesla selling off pretty aggressively as well. We did have ServiceNow, MasterCard, American Express, all these companies. So real estate, energy, materials, utilities, defensive, healthcare, consumer cyclicals, all these sectors selling off. So it was a pretty brutal red day for the market, especially when you consider where we were versus where we closed. So intraday, there was a lot of selling pressure, but Meta, of course, doing relatively better, 4.4%. Nvidia also higher. Micron with a very nice move to the upside, 5.5%. And a lot of the other chip manufacturers such as Lam Research, Clack Corporation. I did videos on both of these companies earlier in the week. So we talked about how both of them are super high quality businesses. So you can check that out as well. Lam Research was very close to our fair value. Clack needed a drop of at least 20 to 30%, and Applied Materials also popping over 5% on that news as well. So very strong move to the upside in semiconductors, but other parts of the market most certainly struggling on the day. So comm services was the only sector that was pushing higher. Everything else was red. So 10 out of 11 sectors in the red over the last 1 week. Comm services is the only leader on the back of both Google and Meta. Everything else is basically flat or down. And over the last 1 month, we do still have financials, energy, materials, defensive still kind of leading the way at the moment. Gold prices pushing higher with orange juice also for the win. And we had wheats, oats, coffee, cotton, all these prices pulling back. Bitcoin a little bit under 30,000. Ether just over 1,800 as well. So going back over to the market here, we did have crude oil, just trading a little bit under $80 a barrel. Something that we have to constantly monitor, because in the month of July, this thing is up over 12 to 13%, which obviously puts a lot of impact on inflation moving forward in our future prints. Going over to Ethereum, again, just consolidating sideways. So that right there is going to be that range within which it's been trading at. And support level is going to stay put at 1,800, closer to 1,850 for Ether. Talking about Bitcoin, so we're starting to see a little bit of a breakdown below that 29,700 level. But this right here is going to be that strongest support, sitting roughly at around 28,300, with, of course, a resistance all the way up to 31,000 for Bitcoin as well. Going over to the S&P 500, so on the daily chart, you can see that there was a pretty sizable selling pressure here, and something that we did talk about. And this is a resistance all the way up to 46.23. You can see that over there, and of course, a pretty strong red candle coming in, definitely suggesting there were a lot of sellers present intraday. And 21 EMA is going to be 44.89 all the way down to 44.23 for S&P moving forward. So that right there is going to be that support level to watch for the market. And of course, NASDAQ here also with a pretty significant red candle. Definitely intraday, there was a lot of weakness here. It's crazy. And again, it's not so much the loss on the day. It is the intraday price action that's far more important than the loss on the day, because it just goes to show that we were trading at a much higher level, and intraday we sold off over 2%. That's a pretty sizable move from an intraday perspective. And of course, that 21 EMA sitting roughly under 14,000 to as low as this right here as a horizontal support for the NASDAQ, sitting roughly at 13,800 as well. Talking about Apple, and Apple here also just really consolidating sideways, not really moving anywhere. This right here could be this is the all-time high, sitting roughly at 198, 197. And intraday selling off pretty aggressively. So that 21 EMA is going to be a very, very important level to watch for Apple. And of course, intraday we did sell off a little bit over 1.9, almost 2% for Apple as well. Amazon also with a pretty brutal red candle. So at one point it was up over 3%, but then pretty much giving back on all the gains and closing flat on the day. There is a negative divergence. We did break down below that 21 EMA. We failed to recapture that level today. So I'm going to be very cautious here. Again, I'm not, going to be overexposing myself to Amazon to the upside, because, again, like I said, there's a negative divergence. It is a little bit more on the overbought side, coming back down from those levels, and the price action seems to be incredibly weak for Amazon at the moment. Talking about Tesla here, and Tesla also with a massive dump down over 3%, and from its highs of 268 intraday, it's down over 4.8, almost 5%. That's, again, pretty sizable move, right? 5% intraday is not a small change. And next support, like I said, is going to be 240s. So this right here is going to be that level to watch for Tesla that I'm watching as a support, as a next level that I do believe that Tesla can come down to. But I will be doing a separate video going over Tesla, Palantir, and NIO. You guys seem to love those types of videos, so I will be doing a daily market update a technical update on those three companies as well, and maybe add SoFi in the mix. Talking a little bit about NVIDIA. And NVIDIA here, once again, red candle on a green day, getting rejected at closer to $480. So this right here is going to be that resistance to watch for NVIDIA. Support level is going to stay put at that 21 EMAs and roughly at 439, 442. So those right there are going to be some levels to watch, all the way down to as low as $405, $406 per share, down to, of course, as low as $375 to as low as $350 for NVIDIA as well. So very nice, consistent uptrend. Obviously, one of the biggest winners in the S&P 500 year to date in 2023. But again, valuation is a little too high, and I wouldn't be surprised if at one point in the future, reality sets in and it starts trading back sub 400, where, you know, some support levels are, but of course, valuation-wise, it should be a lot lower than where it's trading at the moment. Talking about Advanced Micro Devices, and AMD has really been a disappointment, and I fully agree. It hasn't really moved anywhere. It's been consolidating sideways. There's been a lot of sideways action for AMD, so support level is going to stay put at a close to $106, $105 per share for Advanced Micro Devices. Resistance is going to stay put close to $130 for AMD as well. And again, we're seeing a lot of consolidation sideways for AMD. So if you do see a potential breakdown below this support at close to 106, then I wouldn't be surprised if it does maybe break down to that 200, 300 simple moving average, sitting roughly in the low 80s for AMD. So those right there are going to be some levels to watch for Advanced Micro Devices. That's exactly where I would be looking at, maybe selling some puts for Advanced Micro Devices. Talking a little bit about PayPal, and PayPal on the day down almost 2%, selling off pretty aggressively. So intraday down a little bit over 3.8, almost 4%. This right here is going to be that support. That's the higher low in line with that 21 EMA, and of course a huge horizontal support sitting right there for PayPal. So we'll continue to monitor this level right here, and PayPal for the longest time obviously has been trading inside this very, very nice uptrending channel. So I do expect that to continue. That's why there's going to be a very strong support, roughly sitting at 71, close to $70 per share for this company. Square also with a green start to the day, but then selling right back down and posting a red candle with down over 4.3% intraday and down over 2% on the day. Support level is going to stay up at roughly around $70. So this right here is going to be that level to watch. Of course, resistance all the way up to $83, $89 per share. And right now we are coming off of a little bit of an overbought RSI and a MACD, so it's not surprising that we are seeing a little bit of a pullback on Square as well. Talking about Meta Platforms with a massive red candle as well, so definitely selling off quite aggressively here. 4.4% green day on the back of earnings, but definitely seeing a significant amount of selling pressure intraday, down over 4.5%. At one point, obviously, the stock was up over 9.5%, but of course, there's been some profit taking. There's a little bit selling pressure coming in. Support level is going to stay put down to $300 per share for Meta moving forward. Talking about Netflix here, Netflix continues to slide lower, so down over 2.25%. Support level is going to stay put at 410, 409. So this right here is going to be that level to watch. And of course, a breakdown below this, wouldn't be surprised if it does trade down to $379, $380. Those right there are going to be some levels to also watch for Netflix moving forward. And of course, resistance stays put at 457, closer to $460 per share for Netflix moving forward. Talking about Google here, Google continues to do really well relative to some of the other companies, but very, very flat on the day. Once again, some selling pressure coming in and getting rejected at close to $131, $132 per share for Google as well. So seeing a lot of momentum back to the downside. Support level is going to stay put at 127, closer to $128 per share, and of course all the way down to 115 for Google as well. We do have a little bit of a gap to fill over here for Google moving forward as well. Talking a little bit about Microsoft, and Microsoft continues to slide lower. As I've already pointed out, 322 is going to be that next support level to watch. We're starting to see a bit of a breakdown below that 21 exponential moving average. This is not surprising considering the valuations have always been a little too high for Microsoft. So this is going to be that intermediate support all the way down to 312, down to as low as 292, sub 300 are going to be some of those levels to watch also for Microsoft. And finally, we got Shopify. Enphase, I'm going to skip over in this video. I'm going to be doing a separate video going over Enphase earnings and of course the price action after hours, because we were expecting it to drop quite a bit, and that's exactly what happened. But Shopify here starting to break down below that 21 EMA, getting rejected once again at $65, $67. So my support for Shopify is going to be down to $54, $55 per share moving forward for this company. Would be surprised if it does end up trading down to that level in the future. So bottom line is, intraday, there was a lot of selling pressure from the markets here. So, we were obviously gapping up. We were higher, and then intraday we sold right back down. That just goes to show that there's been a lot of weakness. Intraday sellers really stepped in to bring us back down. And price action wise, things are starting to look a little bit more exhausting from a momentum standpoint. And of course, there is a little bit of profit taking that's also taking place specifically for tech and of course NASDAQ stocks as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. If you did, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. 16% discount that's available on an annual basis. That does expire at the end of this month. So you've only got about 3 days left. And this right here, of course, is going to be that options course, brand new course, coupon code LAUNCH with a 50% discount as well, if you want to take advantage of that as well. And again, it does expire at the end of this month. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.